whiteboard?
This
you
one's,
want?
yeah, looking at the whiteboard and you.
Okay,
And this
okay.
one's looking at the.
Okay. All right, let me put this in here. Let me put this here. Let me do the defined big data here. We can move everything around. And then we want to do this. This is here.
Wait, is, did you guys work at somebody's school? No, so you knew each other before? So you chose to
Okay.
school with each other?
And
Okay.
then this goes into here.
Do a lot of work together. That's right, yeah. It'll be soon, soon. It's like, you'll be there, you'll be happy about it. It'll be good. Really? Sunday? You're not maximizing your time home. Yeah. But then we go home. Like, are you going home for Thanksgiving? That's like 4 weeks. And then you come home and you come back here. So.
My break is like, so after this weekend, next weekend, my friends and
Oh.
and then next weekend, my dad's coming.
For homecoming?
William,
That's when my dad's coming.
And then
too.
is this on airplane mode?
I think it's 1 week in all.
That's
Okay,
cool.
can you
Yeah.
check?
So you got it set up. It'll be good.
Cause I got a call
Yeah.
on and I shouldn't have gotten a call. Had it been on, not on
Sounds
airplane.
like such a country name.
Can you
to
be
me.
so
Out of country
kind?
music, but it's
Thank
definitely
you.
a rapper, right? Yeah.
I like that music.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't know much, but I know people made fun of me about that in the past, not being country. Yeah. Travis Scott, but whatever.
What are you drinking now?
Yeah, put it.
Huh?
Now it's on.
No, did you check on this one?
This one's working.
Share my screen. Share. So we're broadcasting. And let's go to, here. What's Okay, 450.
It's so yummy, it's in one one, yeah, but the chicken were fried too, and my mom had just prepared, and it's so fine, but I think yeah, so it's here, it's like with this class, we have sometimes, like, I don't know. It was at home.
No, I have. What is it, you going back up, is it cold? Give it one.
She wrote my letter. She said, I took her for 290, so the other 390 for Shit, one side looks nice. What's my 250?
It doesn't stay hot.
We're taking one. Oh, is the crackhead not teaching it? No, I don't teach it.
Okay, folks, welcome back. Get your name tags out and let's go. You want me to give a favor, please? Put on in BTE 450, we're health IT. Put the date October 17th, Wednesday. And what do we want to do? We want to put first, last, phone, and email. And make yourself Yanni number one, okay? You have it? Okay. I can erase it?
Yep.
So today I want to talk about our projects for the semester. We're going to get into the fun stuff. So we'll talk about, I'll give you some examples for your projects. We'll talk about some more about blockchain, especially blockchain in healthcare. I want you, while you're waiting, we need to think about, remember the meaningful use. I want you to look up the word meaningful use. Attestation. While I get started, you can look that up. And then we'll go over, and I'll leave the exams to the end of the class. That way, if you want to stay with me and ask me questions about the exams, those of you that are happy with your exams can leave early. Those of you that want to spend more time, we can do that, okay? Because there's always, you know, I messed up here, I didn't do this, I did that, you know. I have some questions about the open-ended. For some of you, I told you to see me, so we can do it. All right? So are we live on both places? Let me just check. What? Huh?
They may have turned off. I think
Okay.
it's
So can you help me here? William, just check what's going on this one, and then we can just make sure that we see each other. Looks like this, we may have to read. Thank you, William. Okay. Okay, folks, if you want to chat, text each other, okay? Thank you. A couple of things here on, let's do a couple of ways in which I want to look at it. Is we're going to be doing a project for the semester. And let me I'll just even take my, let me take this down here, what does it say, Word? It's gonna say no here, let me close this Word down too. What's this one? I can close this as well. And, let's see here. Let me bring up Notepad here. Okay. So what I want to talk about is the project that we have. Okay. The project the final project will be due the day of the final. And some of you, it'll come before we know it, so later on you can check to see when our final is scheduled. I think it's near the end. Anybody know? Huh?
It's the last
It's the
possible
12th,
time.
yeah.
It's the last time, right? And what time, what time?
At 8 p.m.
At 8 p.m. the last day.
Yeah.
So we have to bring some celebration food, that's what I say. So anybody that wants to be on the party celebration list, let me know, okay? So, basically it's gonna be then, let me just put in the notes, then it's gonna be due December, is it December?
Yeah.
12th?
December 12th, yeah.
Wow, December 12th at 8 p.m. It'll be in this room, and what it will be is, we'll have an exam.
Would you like the exam last day of class maybe?
No,
Please?
we're not allowed to. I would be happy to do that too, but that's one of the things that we're not allowed to. So, it's December 12th, it has to be at the scheduled time, it's December 12th at 8 p.m. There'll be an exam, and then your final project will be due as well. You'll be giving presentations of your project on the last week of class. So it's that last Wednesday when we have class, which is what?
I think it's November 28th.
Is it?
The
The,
Wednesday, yeah. It's,
What?
yeah.
It's the 28th.
Well, yep, but we don't, that's Tuesday. It's the 28th.
because Monday is a class?
Monday and Tuesday of that last week is still class, but we
Okay.
won't go until Wednesday.
Okay, so let's do this, just so we know, since we'll do some housekeeping now, the last Wednesday, which is what day?
The 28th.
So it's November 28th is your presentation, and I'll talk about that, right? So that's when your presentation is, and I'll give you the final feedback then, and then you can make adjustments for the final, of turning it in on the day of the final. Also, that following Monday, I'll have office hours at 6:30, so if you want to, you can come at that time, and we can discuss your project as well. And we can do also, that day, we'll also have a review for the exam. So that's good that we have enough time to do that. So what do I want about your project to do? So let's discuss what your project should be. Your project should center around healthcare, IT. And what I'd like you to do is think about a problem that needs to be resolved. And then you want to be able to think about what's been done already. And then basically, how are you going to be different, or how are you going to solve the problem? either in a way that it's better, more efficient. And in this, so, in healthcare, what's the problem that needs to be resolved? What has been done already, and how are you going to solve the problem? And what I'd like you to do is think about the solution as being digital, usually in nature. And what I'd like how you should present it is your project proposal. You should be presenting it via a website, and if possible, needed an basically you can think about via an app. We'll then discuss how you can do a website, and we'll discuss basically without, how many programmers do I have here? Let's look around. Not too many. So we'll do it in the way for the app. We'll look at different app development environments that are free and that we can be as non-programmers creating our app. So we'll be doing the website for non-programmers, and we'll be doing the app for non-programmers.
So we have to do both website and app?
Usually, for sure, the website. Some websites, it'll be good enough because we'll get some websites that we'll be able to look at it on a phone, that we'll be able to do it. If it needs to be, if our solution, we want it to be an app, then we'll create an app. Everybody with me so far? And this is, to me, this is the fun part. One is two things I want to impress upon you. One is that I'm in every group, so I am contributing to every group, so I have a say. Two is I want every group to be excited about your project and to wow not only yourselves but wow me. And then maybe what we'll have, remember Dr. Gerst? He invested in a number of companies. What I'd like to even do, we'll see how we go, is we may even on that final week invite himself and maybe some others that are investing in health IT projects to come and look and see what maybe they want to invest and what we decide. So think about it in terms of those areas that you can take away. One of the things I want you to be able to do is when you leave this class, you can take away and it's part of your portfolio. That it's just not another project for project's sake. It's not another paper for paper's sake. That I passed that class and I didn't. So what kind of, so let's go to our regular website where our regular class of Introduction to Health Informatics, and let's go to web links. And in web links, you have, everybody see under web links, you see something where it says mobile app news? Everybody see that? Let me open it up in a new window. See if it opens up. I like this site because it tries to tell us what's happening here. And now when we read it, we really can make some sense. First of all, it starts at top story. HIPAA lets providers text patients, but is it secure? Why? Because we're always thinking about what? HIPAA regulations, provide the right platform to use to protect patient data. And of course, we want to find ways in which we communicate. See here, another patient messaging systems. Innovators use digital tools to translate patient experiences into meaningful data. online pharmacy, same-day prescription. Look at this. Blockchain technology to expand Hawaii following Timmycoin, First Vitals Health and Wellness Partnership. So a possibility may be looking at blockchain technology in healthcare and proposing a solution. And this is Timmycoin and First Vitals Health Wellness Plan to use blockchain to aggregate data from EHRs in Hawaii. Isn't this wonderful that we can read this and it makes sense to us? You know what I mean? We don't have to worry. That's why I wanted to do it. And here it says hospitals in Hawaii are now turning their attention to using blockchain technology. And in this case, blockchain technology aggregated across EHRs across the state. The Austin-based Timmycoin blockchain as a service company has teamed up with First Vitals Health and Wellness to employ the technology in aggregating data from EHRs across Hawaii. The plan currently just in development stage, so you can be in development stage too, is intended to help providers fulfill the care coordination requirements of CMS, primary care. And then interoperability in EHR has caused patients frustration. Look at this, President Barack Obama. It was like the last test, doesn't it seem to be? The trend, some healthcare providers see blockchain as one key to solving interoperability problems. Estonia, anybody know what Estonia is? It's a country, right? It's a country, and Estonia is a small country. As a matter of fact, I met the heads of Estonia that use blockchain in another conference, and they want to come here to Coral Gables because Coral Gables reached out to me to see that they wanted to use blockchain in Coral Gables government. Like for all the deeds, think about all the housing and so forth, the deeds, put it on the blockchain that you can basically make sure you own the house. So Estonia wants to be our sister city. I think Estonia wants to be our sister city. Anybody know what the winter is like in Estonia? I would want to be our sister city too. I think it's, one of those, I don't know if it's as cold as Siberia, but it's pretty cold there. So to help its citizens control over their health records and facilitate proper use of their records of the medical community. So what can we do in blockchain? Is we can basically put our health records on the blockchain, and then you can carry your health record across the environment. So many hospitals starting looking at the possibilities. So this is in general what they're doing in blockchain. What we're implementing exactly how we vision, right, and they're addressing this. So you can see that's one that you can get some ideas upon. And then if you go here, when you let me just make this a little larger so I can see here. So you can see under topics, you see here under, for instance, under consumer, everybody with me? Here you get some ideas of what people are doing for the consumer. So you can even purport for your projects to do something for the consumer, to do something for blockchain. What I suggest you do is something that you're interested in. So anybody in physical therapy here? So for physical therapy, it may be ways in which you can think about giving physical therapy. You may even think you have a small group of people that you're giving physical therapy. And what's the problem is when they go home, they're not sure what they're supposed to do. So basically have some way to reach out to them. It may be not everybody can come, you can have a small group. Let's say you're talking about the back. You can do like we're doing live broadcast. And then you can be Kelly as our physical therapist. You can basically get clients throughout the world that have back problems, right? Give them, and then they can give you feedback. And my problem a lot of times when I was playing tennis, I had my shoulder problems, and with the exercises, I didn't know exactly what I was doing, right? So then they can give you corrections and so forth. So you can think about what are they doing in physical therapy? How do you reach out more than in advance can be? You can see here what a connected closed loop, Walmart patents, biometric monitoring, Amazon, Walmart have both recently gained patents for novel uses of biometric sensing. Amazon for Alexa feature that will allow a device to passively detect signs of illness. Can you imagine? They're invading us everywhere, right? And to recommend remedies. And Walmart for connected shopping cart handle that can tell how God you're going to it's going to give you information when you're on the cart, right? To detect rate, heart rate, palm temperature, grip force, and walking speed. So I guess they'll have a little clinic there in Walmart and say, hey, you know, Dr. Rush, you're going to have a heart attack soon. Why don't you just get through that? So you can see here, consumers will have the power to ensure interoperability, detection app, 510 clearance targets. You see that for the launch, fertility testing, Digital DX launches consumer-facing dermatology app. And we'll have in a couple of weeks, like modern medicine, that's where they started, in the dermatology. So think about it. You have a mole, you have some problem here. What's better but you have on your phone doing kind of detections. Article will be sold at a $2 annual. This has been $10. Clinical decision support tool maker officially launched its first consumer-facing app. The app allows the user to upload pictures of the skin in addition. So this basically makes sense, doesn't it? Take this app, take my picture. We'll have some next week and the following week of people that are doing something similar with biofeedback and others. So I'm going to bring, once we start thinking about it, I'm going to bring some entrepreneurs in health IT also to talk to us. We argued that we developed the world's best professional medical image, you know, and they're co-pilot. So this app will be free for the introductory and sold for $10. The app is not intended to be a diagnostic tool, but does give users options and giving them information about their probable condition. So basically it looks like, I guess, that you need to see somebody, you got basal cell, you know, population health management. Basis launches consumer mental health counseling app. This is, I think, interesting, if you're interested. I think this area can really do well online with apps, mental health. And you can even think about it if you want, even in a student population, in a university population. How many times do you see high rates of suicide or people that are depressed, lonely, anxious? When you go to the counseling centers, you have to make an appointment. What are the counseling center hours? Some people don't want to go to the counseling center. Some people, maybe you can even have some people that don't want to be even identified. There's still a stigma in mental health. So I think this area, you think about this area that has been underserved in so many ways. You think about addictions, any mental health counseling that you can do talking these ways. So this space is an app-based platform that connects consumers with mental health counselors, announced the launch of this service. And look at their funding, $3.75 million. The investment was led by BlackRock, Lightspeed Ventures, a former Uber executive and chief science officer, and a clinical psychologist at Stanford. So this is interesting. I think this whole area, so many areas on consumer health will be needed. And what's the impact? You can see this approach allows bases to offer sessions for less. Specialists are not licensed, but paraprofessionals. Some are even peers. Have you ever seen this on peer-to-peer? You can help. So you can think about that as a possibility. What's the trend? Mental health apps and digital tools and various levels of success. So you can see this. So what I'd like you to do for next week is first put in, right now you can even do that for your group, put in another folder called project. You can do that now even. Put in another folder called project in your audit area. And within that, I'd like you to put your proposal of what you want to do. and in more detail as possible. And next week, I'll give you a go-ahead on to pursue it. You also want to be able, when you look at your notes there, is to be able to look at what's the competition doing. So you can see urgent care bookings, there's so many apps. And you can see how long it is that this area started leveraging AI. What's AI?
Artificial intelligence?
Yeah, and how does it differ from regular computing?
Doesn't it allow for it to learn on itself?
Yeah, it improves. So just like what we said, all of it, so AI basically now used to be a buzzword, and now you can think about it, it's trying to mimic humans, and basic that humans is it's trying to learn. It's trying to improve. And think about it, all those voice to text, right? It tries to start improving as you go along, as you train it. You have a training model. And along with your training model, you have something, sometimes it's called neural networks. And what you do is you train it and then you test. And then you go again, you train, and then you test. And you train with a sample of data. And many times in the neural net, you train with a sample of data with the results. So let's think about it. I gave an example before of credit card fraud. Or we can think about healthcare fraud. You know, we're the capital of healthcare fraud here in Miami. We have something to be proud of, right? We're number one. So we're number one of fraud. And what it's basically doing is where can I get fraudulent activities I can send to the government for patients, right, that may not exist, or patients that don't have certain symptoms. And basically, if I was looking at fraud to train, let's say Medicare fraud, what would I have? Is I would have what? I would have patient database that are legitimate. And I would have patients that were submitted that were fraudulent. Everybody with me? I have two sets of data. I would give the machine to train patient data that's submitted to Medicare that are legitimate, and I would have patients that were fraudulent. They were basically weren't getting the services they needed, or they were fake patients, or they were real patients that they just added on services either that they didn't need or services they didn't receive. And what would I want to have train? I would want to train the computer what? To find me what? The trends, or find me the ways in which to differentiate between a legitimate patient and a fraudulent patient. So what would those characteristics be?
Inconclusive data on the fraud patient's behalf.
In what way? How would it find it?
Maybe data that doesn't quite match up with the US Department's,
Guidelines. It could be also, I could do it by doctors, that all of a sudden, for instance, have you ever seen those pain clinics? That they used to be, those doctors, what were they doing? Yeah, I mean, they would basically be seeing like 50 patients a day or something. They would be, their prescriptions would be much higher than others. And then after I would train it, this is training, how could I test it? I would give it the data, and then I would give it what they call, you can put this in your notes, out of sample. And what is out of sample data? I would take out of sample part of the data. I wouldn't feed it to the computer. I would leave that part out where I would know the results of non-fraud and fraud. And I would have it test this data, I would train it, and this data, I would have it test and see how accurate it was. And how would I know how accurate it was? Because I know the results. Just like, you remember your forecasting assignment where you had to compare your actual to your forecast? Because you already knew what your actual was. It was already earlier data that you knew what the results were. So this is the area in which they call it AI, for artificial intelligence, where I'm training it and I want it to learn. So this one, in the increasing pace of development in digital innovations, aims to put patients in charge of their healthcare and offer new ways to address the challenges of the aging population. But how are entrepreneurs changing the world? We look at 2 startups in the AI space that want to offer clinicians the tools that need to improve outcomes. So everything you can see here are what people are funding. What I like, why you should go through this, you can see where kind of like what are the key words here, what people are funding, you know, access to services. You can see here, Yami, what I was telling you about, that a lot of it's on the phone, like phone apps and so forth, the increasing pay. The next coming through hospitals, Oxford spin-off, developed the world's most echocardiograph software that you've seen. Basically, you can think about it starting with in Oxford. You can think about it here for patients, learning to relate those to predict what happened to the patients in a year time. Can analyze 80,000 data points, right, to basically, and they're trying to do it. The other expanded to hospitals, and the startup aiming 100 million. You can see this. So you can see an Ada Health Science part to improve access to services in the developing world. On iOS, Android, right, instead of launching the web version currently available, they want, now everybody's just having their phones. So a lot of times that's another reason for doing the apps. Questions? So these are the areas in which I want you to do. So think about ways in which you want to do it, but you can look in terms of the topics here. You can see on the consumer usually is the most, but then you can see here under investor. Is anybody going to pharmacy? No? But you can see here pharma, here you can see providers, and here you can see what investors, you know, like Aetna Health, you know, online pharmacies, plans on launching, then a migraine platform. So many different things that you can think about. Launches to consumers. A lot of this is not going to be, but you can think here how much money there is. Digital mentioned with 5-year deal. Look at these amounts of money they're investing, right? Digital pathology, startup, series to college students for companionship. Okay. Look at this. This is Miami. I'll invite this person. I think he changed his name. This guy's a physician. It's Miami startup. What his idea was to one of these was to, basically start up online that links, college students to seniors for practical service companionship. There's another one is, room-based, that if somebody wanted a room in a senior's house, they could do that, and they just provide companionship. AI-powered women's health platform, so you can see here, sometimes they throw in AI, and I don't even know if it has AI, but it looks good, so companies invest. Plans to use money for startups' next growth, right, that you can see here for women's health. Here at the University of Miami, they want us to, and maybe some of you are interested, they want to do a Men's Health Institute. Men don't like to go to doctors. And that kind of, and so basically, they want to set up an institute, and they say, they're not gonna go, so maybe we can text, maybe we can be online. Sometimes when men, with ED or something, all of a sudden they're embarrassed by it, so we don't even have to show their face, right? Have you ever seen those that late at night, they'll say, we'll sell you your Viagra in a brown envelope or something, So in this case, they can talk about their problems, or that they can talk. So some folks here, if you're interested, they want people to work on that. You can think here, biggest quarter yet. So you can see here this area of what investors, what are like investors, what are they investing in? Personalized health, you can see that engagement, startup, seeding, target scalable diabetes prevention programs. It's like everlasting here. Texting apps. Look at this funding. It's amazing how much money there is. There's a group here in South Florida too, just for healthcare startups. We can do that. Any comments, questions? So Faith, what was your idea for a project?
We're still talking about it, but, we like something related to either like the counseling app or a stress-related app to help people if they're like pregnant or some sort of health behavior.
Yeah, I think that's great. In terms of basically, it's easy, you can use it on your app, you can get results. And then you want to think about later on is how you're going to fund it. A lot of times you want to give it out free first, but how you can get the funding, for it. But in terms here, even think about, you may even want to start with starting with, as your group of population here is on campus. And then you can do like pilots of that. Okay? So I think, and William, what were you thinking about?
Yeah, I was thinking of maybe researching some of the healthcare stocks and like, again, testing the forecast with some of the basic strategies on ninjas, on NinjaTrader, and also if we have time, maybe look at the NinjaScript, maybe make one of our own.
Yeah, well, what they have is, they have a wizard. Have you looked at that?
No, I haven't checked.
So basically what would be good is take a NinjaScript already and just modify it, rather than starting from scratch.
Yeah.
Or even like what we were talking about, remember the SMA crossover? And maybe if our longs are good and our shorts,
They take away the shorts.
take away the shorts and see how that works. And look at the optimization and create what we call an instrument list. And put in the instrument list, you can put then all your healthcare symbols. And then you could call it like even health, or healthcare,
Yeah.
And then you can run it, you can optimize it. And once you optimize, the nice thing here, it will tell you what turns out to be it'll rank it from most profitable to least profitable. And then you can have it, you could create then a website.
Yeah, that was also, maybe adding on to the last one.
Yeah, add it on and create it and change it. Take your last one and change it to, healthcare.
Yeah, it's new talent.
Healthcare sector, and specialize in the healthcare sector. And then you can even have a section of asking others to give you their advice. And then you could even set up, like a weekly or a daily kind of like broadcast. We're broadcasting what's happening and have others around the world join you of what's happening in the healthcare sector. And one you could talk about your stocks, the other ones you could talk about what's happening, what are new companies coming up. That possibility of investing. You could have like a investor section there where you can invite investors, for the healthcare industry, plus those that are wanting to look at the healthcare stock. Because you yourself can't do it alone, but what you can do is you can be a platform and you want others to provide the content.
Sound good?
Yes. Do you have a question? Okay. All right. So what other ideas? So Yami, who's in your group? Okay. So you can decide when to do it together or other things that you want to do. And James, what's going on with your group? Have you guys thought about something?
We haven't really agreed to anything yet, but I was kind of thinking about how to use like the Internet of Things to really bring healthcare to the home in a user-friendly setting.
Right. Of evaluating. So what do you think about evaluating products that are available or what?
That's the thing, we definitely have to be more specific, and that's a very general subject.
So it may be what you can do is think about evaluating what's existing now in the home market
Okay.
and evaluating it. Almost like a review site.
Kind of like a consumer report for these new things.
Because you're not going to, you yourself, unless you think about it, aren't going to develop an IoT, right?
Right, yeah, it's too
But
complex.
it's too complicated now. But what you could do is you could evaluate and say, these go together.
Okay.
These are, I can foresee almost, this is what the room is, this is what the living room is, right? This is what it's going to be available. And you could do it for different age groups, right?
Okay.
That I have the seniors versus I have the infants.
Right.
Versus I have my teenagers and throughout the family could be.
Sounds good. Yeah.
That's one of my ideas. I just have ideas in it. Okay? And any other ideas that we have? Ricky, did you want to say something?
I was thinking of an idea.
Yeah.
I saw the devices. I remember there was a kind of a smartwatch similar to Fitbit or Samsung
Yeah.
Gear, but there was a working prototype that was powered by your own body heat. And it used that to accurately detect calories, like 10 times better than any activity tracker you've had. And you never had to charge it. I was thinking if you can use it for other ways too, like if heat leaves too much, if you're dehydrated, you'll lose body heat faster than if you're not. Use that for different types of things. Or maybe even use it for stuff like pacemakers, so you don't need to constantly find a wireless charger every, 10 years or something, so you never have to worry about it again.
Okay.
I don't know. I was just looking through because I saw the
Yeah,
devices.
but I'm just saying, you can see, I like to look at both. Folks, to get ideas too, is I like to look at both. One is the consumer and the other one the investor. Because the investor is telling me what? That they're going to be able to put, money there, and the consumer is that you get ideas. 17 digital health mergers and acquisitions from, Q 2018. And what I like it is recent. So even what you look at next week, is going to be different. So this is what they made a company out of this. So James, look at this. They made a company out of just this Moby Health News, right, of what's happening.
And they make revenue via ads, probably.
Probably via ads, probably even, who knows, on some of these look, here's via ads, right? And then they may be matching different people together. They could do conferences.
Okay.
They can do webinars. So just even look at and this site, right? So if you looked below, right, on all look at all these ads, right? EY, right? Healthcare, right? IT news, right? Women's implementers. So they made some on IT. You never know. I've seen some of these companies, you know what they do? Is they basically then do webinars based on those companies. I have the mailing list already, and now I'm being, let's say you're a new health IT watches, I'll be able, or IoT, I'll be able to do webinars and try to get other people, and then I have all those other companies, right? See here, mobile health, give me your email, now I can send you more things. Look here, top story, who becomes the top story? You don't know if they're being paid to be the top story. You see here, HIPAA provides text patients, right? More stories. Who's deciding on whose story? Mobile health. Notice, look how they now even go, and then they have webinars, and they have conferences, where they just, and then I can take those vendors, and I can have those vendors then set up tables, and then sponsor the conferences, right? Allow the physicians, the practitioners to come free, that they can meet, so they can schmooze with the hospital administrators and sell them their ITs, right? You know what I mean? They're giving you something in reverse, but they have other ways. Look at this, they even have more news, right? Health news, email, and then connect, add to your network, about, and look at this. What's the second word there? But they hide it.
Right.
And then here, advertise, right, privacy policies, and if I do advertise, right, they'll learn more, healthcare, finance, so they have a number of publications. HIMSS Learning Center, HIMSS TV, right up your alley, right? So you can basically then interview, right, HIMSS, it's an online broadcasting network focused on global innovation, how technology is driving healthcare. So you can interview a number of people, set up your site and interview people like we're coming in, and then a lot of times people will want to be advertisers. You can think about a number of areas in which you want to do. And then you can also see the up and coming, you almost can do a hedge fund or investment group and match people, the investors, to those startups. Create a startup incubator, Look at this, HIMSS Media Solution and Brands, resource. And HIMSS is an organization that they have a yearly conference where they have thousands of people coming to present their new digital technologies. And they have chapters, they even have a South Florida chapter that meets here, where they're talking about basically people that are interested in health IT. So I can get a hospital administrators. Once I get the hospital administrator who wants to sell to an hospital administrator, I have physicians who don't want to sell. I have a number of other health providers I want to basically sell my information to. Okay? Questions? What else? So Monica, have you thought about something?
We were this might already exist, we don't know, but maybe doing like an app where once you're prescribed with a prescription, you can input it and there's a database with like dosage information, all that, so it'll automatically remind you like when to take it if you need food or liquid, and automatically do refills, and also cross-check with other things that you're taking to make sure there's no interactions, and let you know like what possible
Yeah,
side
there may be
effects are.
some of that. You know what you can do is sometimes even go, an easy one is go to something like CVS or Walgreens.
Yeah, like partnering with one of those.
No,
but-
go actually even on campus, right? They have Walgreens, right? They have a pharmacy, and go to them and ask them what do they have in terms of apps? What are they using?
Yeah, I mean, like I get my prescriptions from there, and there's, like I have to remember to call them and refill.
Right, so see, but there are a number of them. I know personally that I've met a number of startups, they want to start doing that. So that's kind of developed, but it's a possibility, see where you can do it, or in the beginning, even review what's available. And let people know first, even, what I would do before even doing it is review what's there. See if they're giving some download, free downloads or find information to see what is even available and what you can contribute. And your app then would have to be maybe an integration of what some of the other ones have.
Okay.
Okay? So Gabby, what did you think about?
Yeah,
We have,
yeah.
we have.
I was thinking, well, we could do the PT thing because we're interested in that, but also like with addiction and stuff, we could do like a 12-step kind of app, and we could do like AA meetings, posted like their times for the location and like the family meetings. And I know it's anonymous, so I'm trying to figure out a way where you could like live stream it and like so people could be involved in what's going
Well,
on.
you know what you have to do in a way that, you know, you have, what you can do, and you'll be able to do it with technology now. One is you can cover people's faces,
And change their voices.
and you
too.
can change your
Yeah.
voices,
Yeah.
and the person going on live too will be able, even, maybe they'd say, I don't even want you to change my face, I don't want my face,
Yeah.
but then I want basically to change my voice.
Yeah. And
You
like-
know, and because in that case, really, there are, you know, you can make it restrictive.
Yeah.
So you wanna see that whole area, that opioid addiction, there's now, even with the government here, that's kind of restrictive, even with the Trump administration that's cutting costs with healthcare, they're spending money in terms of, you know, the whole Congress and everyone is spending money on opioid addictions. You know, other addictions, I don't know if they're spending as much, but opioid, I think since general people all of a sudden are stuck with it, you know, it doesn't have the stigma of like a heroin user or something, but, which is really, you know, an interest, but yes, those apps. As a matter of fact, there was, somebody that he was a addict himself with another one, they met at a halfway house, and they wrote a book together, and I just saw them a couple of weeks ago, and I gave him the idea, and he's going around the country and getting support for, you know, that opioid addiction, and what he's saying so much is that peer-to-peer is so important in that environment, in opioid. So I said, why don't you do something where, you know, and he says, my parents, and he was from Miami, and he's living in Los Angeles, so he got a whole crew going out, you know, with cameras from Los Angeles. And I asked him, I said, why don't you do something where, he said, my peer is so important. My parents said, I couldn't live without my co-author, because they helped, each of them were addicted. And I said, well, what about broadcasting? What about reaching out to each other? And he goes, oh, that's a great idea. I'll write you on it. So it's something, almost, even if it didn't have to be, you know, the 12 steps or Alcoholics Anonymous, it could be in a way of reaching out to your peers, that you want other peers and you don't have those peers in your neighbor, you know, in your vicinity, or good peers.
Yeah.
So I think even like if you could set up a platform of peer-to-peer.
Yeah. And I know they get like, people get sponsors too, so you could even do like a virtual sponsor, so you could find someone that
Perfect.
matches you best from across this like country, but it still works.
Yeah. I think it's awesome. And then you feel like you're doing something.
Yeah.
You know, and I think you could get funded for it, something like that. You know, and make it as unique and easy, and everybody, no matter what, everybody has their phone, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? In a way to reach out, so you could reach out, and then if you wanted to, people, that's the beauty of the software, is you could disguise yourself, you don't have to give your name,
Yeah.
you know, it could be anonymous.
Yeah.
I don't even need to have, some people, you don't even have to put your real name if you don't want to.
Yeah.
Something like that, but it'd be a peer-to-peer, and then you could get counselors, almost like that thing you saw there where they were giving with counselors, then you could have maybe counselors and then finding resources.
And like
If they were
people
willing to
find-
say,
yeah.
I'm in Miami, where are the resources that I can get? And then some of them you could do, you know, that are all over the world, and some could be local, and then you say, you can do like a meetup,
Yeah.
if they, some that wanna do a meetup,
Yeah.
make it, okay. What else? So Roy, did you talk with your group, or you have ideas?
Emily's not here, but,
Okay.
you know, we're thinking maybe some kind of application to do with, when someone has, you know, social anxiety or some kind of issue with school but doesn't wanna go talk to someone, maybe an anonymous type of application. Or we might go like to a different route and compare, some stocks and healthcare.
Okay,
things like
you can
that.
do a couple, you know what I mean, in terms of your group, you can do both. You
Maybe.
know, I think it's interesting, even that social anxiety, now with artificial intelligence, have you seen, you guys should look up Google Duplex,
Oh, I've seen that.
where the person it's not a person, but sounds like a person, and can respond, so sometimes almost you can get those software that they can be part reducing your anxiety. and social anxiety.
They're
Yep.
already releasing it on their new phones.
Yeah. So that you can think about it, that they're starting in narrow areas to help. Okay. So what else? Anyone else here that wants to share? I feel like this is sharing sessions here. Okay. Okay, we're okay? So Lauren, who are you with?
Danny and Fiona, they're not here.
Okay, do you have any ideas?
I was thinking something along the lines of, maybe some like patient navigation. This summer at Aetna, like I did a lot with like improving, having like a representative to work like directly with patients to just kind of like improve care. So maybe tying something in to make that navigation like an insurance, like, for example, easier.
So basically be like a concierge service?
Yeah, something like along those lines.
You almost like virtual concierge?
Yeah.
So you can make something like that, and maybe you can have videos along the line and getting patient feedback. Okay. All right, any others? So we got an idea? So let's do it for as detailed as we can for next week. And then we'll have and next week, we're also scheduled to have a guest speaker in the following weeks as well. I've invited some health IT startups to come, and many of them are local, so we can see what's happening. Okay, so let's do the exams. Let's see how that goes. So it's two-part. Is the roll going around? Where's the roll? Somebody sitting on it? Hmm? So you want to pass it? Everybody sign in? Do you want her to see it?
Oh, if I could just look at it now.
Well, let me just put this away and then we'll do it. You wait. Okay, so can we, let's do this. I'm gonna give your tests. This doesn't not have a number on it, so just go through it and find your test. And then pardon? Yes. Okay, so when I call out your name, come in and get it. You can get this. So I have here Ricky.
Oh.
If you want to come get your test. Lorna. Ty. Faith. Kelly. Isaiah. Chelsea. Yami. Nico. William. William. Elizabeth. Roy. Get your test too. You want to divide up the tests maybe so we can pass them out? Emily,
Can I get Emily for her? She does have,
she
asked me.
did she? Okay. They usually don't like to,
She's already read it.
okay.
You encourage this class?
We'll talk about it. Corey? Okay. Monday, yeah. Yeah, okay. Monday, you can get it too. Sean?
Corey?
Corey, where are you?
That's it.
Yeah, right here, Corey. Take it. Very good.
Well, yeah.
Okay, Sean? Okay, John is not here. Daniel? Holmes? Daniel. Okay. Monica?
Hi.
I'll talk about it, because there's gonna be more. I want everybody to go through your tests with your, find out what you got wrong, and then we'll go through it to see if there are mistakes. Kyle? And we'll talk about how the second part is added to your test. Gabrielle?
The docs for 7, can you tell us how to read this off the other?
The dots are correct, the ones that have letters are the ones you got wrong.
But do you like just
Deb
put in that
is
many
not
letters
here.
to know which ones are-
Danielle? Nascora?
I mean, it
Or
kinda
Daniel?
says how many you got
Emma?
out of the 70, but I don't know.
Good. Philippe is not here. Cindy is not here. James is here. Kaylee. Daniel Saunders. Fiona.
She said she possibly got to get hers, if that's possible, but I don't know. If not, it's fine, she just asked me if it was an
Okay,
option.
okay. Did you get yours already?
No, I didn't get mine, no.
Anastasia?
Yeah, it's me.
I know. And Alvaya? What happened? Why is you not here? Check to see if your test is here.
Oh, yeah.
This is like 52.
Got it?
Yeah. Is it okay if I take Fiona's?
Which one's Fiona?
That one's mine.
Yeah, okay. Got the same score.
Oh,
So take it with her and then get her test and then give it back to me, okay? Then we'll see what's going on. Okay, folks, what I want you to do is go through the test and find the ones that you got wrong and circle them. And we'll see if there's any problem with that.
What the average was?
It'll be changing, but for the multiple choice, the average, I'm not sure. I don't know the average. I can tell you it went from, I don't know what the average, the highest score, the histogram, the highest score was 67, and the lowest was 36. And it seemed that the majority were from, I guess, from 48 above. So it seems like this was it. So I don't know what the average was right now.
You know the highest was a high D, so.
What?
Yeah.
So, we'll talk about the exam. First of all, are there any questions about the test itself? So go through it, and then I'll talk about the second part. First, let's finish up. Did you find out everything that you got wrong?
I'm working on it.
Okay, did you get everything you got wrong?
I just have a look at my test.
You have what?
I had to grab my test.
Grab your test.
I noticed there were a couple of things here that I don't really remember going over.
Okay,
20, about the pathology report on,
okay, we'll talk about it.
yeah. It could be that I just didn't pay attention to it.
What was your question?
What?
What did you just ask the question? Was there?
I was saying, make sure first, and I'll go through the second part too and tell you how that's graded. So, the first part, what I asked you to do was find all the ones that you got incorrect and look at that in case there were any problems with that. Sometimes people they put in one score
I
and
found
did
a
another.
problem.
What?
One of the answer choices says the correct answer was E. None of these questions had an E answer
Okay.
choice. I think that was 36 or 35.
Okay, let's,
35.
okay, let's look at it.
35.
Yeah, 35 says E is the correct
It says
answer.
E's answer.
35 is E, right, and it should be, let me look. That's why I want you to look. All of the above, it should be D. So everybody that got D, give yourself another point.
I think just one.
1 point. How
That
many?
is 70, so
Right, that's why I want you to go over it. So give yourself 1 point, add 1 point to your score.
Oh, okay. Score average. That means I could have gotten a C on this test. I don't know. I don't know how high that one question would take me.
Okay, the other part, any other questions? Yes, one. Okay, 42 and 43. Let me look. Because there could be problems. That's why I want to give all the points that's possible for you. You understand? I don't want to be chintzy. Okay, 42.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
Yes. 42. Okay, and what else?
And then 43, the second answer should be A, but the
A and C.
It should be system.
Yes.
Which of the following is identified? Yes. So 42 should be A, and 43 should be what?
C.
C. So if you got that, you can add 2 more points.
You got it wrong, but it was right originally. Right.
We'll talk about it. Just right for right now, just
You
add.
have points for getting B.
Right. Just right now. For right now, just add. We'll worry about it later. Okay? For right now, just add. What else? That's why I want you to go over it. Because they had problems with scoring. Anything else?
I don't think 53 is supposed to be A. Or not 53, 50. Never mind.
Okay.
I was looking at the wrong number.
Okay. All right. Yes. What? Okay, and the second part. Everybody get the part on the second part.
And I got 65.
You got it correct.
Why, you're marked wrong? Maybe put something.
Okay.
You can use that as a backup.
Okay, folks, can I get your attention? There's 2 parts. You should have got, one was on meaningful use. The one thing that, how do you demonstrate meaningful use? And what I'd like you to look for is look up, where's my pen? Where's my marker? Where is my marker? Here. Attestation of meaningful use. Look that up now. Everybody look up that attestation of meaningful use. do you get? Yeah, Nico.
It's saying that that's, like, attestation is a process of validating something that is true. So that was basically like healthcare organizations demonstrating meaningful use in order to get these incentive payments.
Right. So how is that done?
Stages.
Yeah.
By the stages, and then what you basically had to do was you had to show, for instance, remember, what is stage one, Nico?
That was like the, data capture.
Data capture, so you had to show that you captured at least 80% of your patients that were coming in. Or you have to show, for instance, that all those people that are taking medication, at least one medication, you've gotten at least 30% into the CPOE of your computerized patient order entry. So you have to show it by a percentage. That basically is trying to show, others of you came around and looked at that a bit, but those were the cases. So what I'm going to do here, I've checked that. I've given you checks which you have answered the questions. Okay, and then in some of you I put in VG next to it. Some of you have VGs next to it that I thought you went beyond even the beginning, that you really understood it. What I'm going to do for this first test is I'm going to add points to your score. So for instance, I'm not sure, depending, because we now changed the key, but it'll at least be around 5 points you can add to your score. So for instance, if you got like 95, you got that 5 points, you could add to as 100. So you would add additional points to your score. But since we had mistakes and the errors, I'll recalculate it. But you should think to yourself that probably if you got around an 80 now, that'll be 80 and above will be an A for this first exam. But it's approximately. And what I want to do, some of you, it was that you did really well, and others of you that I know you're conscientious students, I don't know what happened. So what I want to make sure that I expected you to do better. So I want to make sure that you focus in on their projects, because I think the projects will help each of you in terms of doing well in the class. So I just want to make sure that we don't get so bogged down in this, but I want to make sure that everybody has the fundamental technology and the fundamental words that we can think about, and that you understand then that meaningful use for that part. And I think in general people were understanding the administrative and the physical and the technical safeguards. You understand that. And the second exam, we talked about it, the second exam I'll have us focus more on the new chapters rather than all the chapters. But I'll probably include the security part again, because I think that's so essential now with healthcare. But I want us more, we'll cover new chapters, but I want us really to develop our projects, because I think those are going to be valuable. And then you can come out with it that you say, hey, what have I done? And I told you before, people that have gone to med school, we're going to do a website, we're going to do an app, and what they ended up doing on their medical interview is they sent in their URL, and they had their, they were able to speak about, blockchain and healthcare or any of the other things that they did. They did on EHRs and things, and they their interviewers were impressed by what they did. Okay, so what I think I'll do just for tonight then is I'll stay with people in terms of your groups. I'll answer questions about your projects. I'll answer questions about your groups. Some people from my other classes say, I want to change groups, or my group isn't working out, or whatever. My key here is that you find groups that you can work with and groups that you can do your project with. Okay, any other questions? And I hope you have a break coming up, right? A couple of days, and I don't know what that, how many people are going away? Well, okay, so get it, so nice, okay? So hopefully you can do this. And did, Faith gave me back her information. And if you took it for your friend, your information, or your roommate or something, give me back both of those tests and put those, you can add those points to them too, right? So you can add those points and put on your test itself which questions you're giving yourself extra point, plus the handout sheet as well. So both of them put the numbers. So for instance, in this sheet,
I think it's 35.
okay, what? I'll talk about it. But for this one in the front then, add the numbers that you're adding to yourself, the question number, like 40, what was 41, 43, A and so forth, and do it also on your test. Okay? What?
How many points do we get?
It
Depends.
It depends, but around, you can think about it, probably around at least 5 points.
For each or?
No, for total, so add 5. So if you got, for instance, 75, it would be an 80 for your exam. But around that, I'm gonna go back and curve it, but I'll try to give you as many points as possible, for your, right? And then focus then in terms of your project, because that's what I'm saying. Some people they're active in class and so forth and do the readings, but sometimes in terms of those multiple choices don't do well. You know what I mean? So I want to be beyond it.
Yeah, 'cause
Okay.
I'm looking at the math here. You said the highest is 67? That means out of 70, that means the highest anyone could have gotten after these 3 fixes would have been a 70.5. No, but out of 70.
Out of 70.
I know.
Yeah.
67.
What? Okay.
Wait, is it 67% or 67 points?
7 points.
Okay, all right, so let's go here.
Same percent.
Okay, so let me just put this together. Okay. Okay, so put
You want
this,
the tests together and these together?
yeah. These are the 2 tests. And this is the test, thank you.
Sorry, just to clarify,
What?
the grade is
What?
based on this number solely, right? Or
Well, no, and
how
then-
does the,
And then you'll add, so let's say this was your score, let's say this was 85, and then plus it would be 90,
oh, sure, okay.
okay? If that were the case. Okay. Okay, very good, congratulations.
Thank you.
You did, I think, the highest in the class. Thank you. Good job, Lorna. Keep it up, okay? Okay. Okay.
I'm staying up.
Okay, we got that? Okay.
So we corrected only on this sheet, right? I
But-
pointed
but-
it.
but- Right, and then added here too.
Oh, okay.
Add the numbers here, take this on the side.
Okay.
So I understand, did you get a group, finally? Yeah. Okay, so let's do something, okay. Okay,
So the 3,
okay, good, good. Take care, Nico. So we'll see a good project, right?
Yes, of course.
Okay. All right.
There were 2.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.